to another edition of Brownsville As Is with
A for Achana,
S for Sonia. And Achana, you can just feel the history standing here on the historic grounds of the Woodlawn Missionary Baptist Church.
You know, this is one of my favorite places ever. It's my home church, and we are embarking upon our 155th anniversary. This church has been established since 1866 by a newly freed slave, Reverend Hardin Smith, and we're still here today. This coming Sunday, May the 23rd at 9:20 a.m., we will gather on the grounds for a parking lot service, and we will celebrate and observe our 155th year in existence. It's going to be grand. Sonia, I am so happy to be able to speak with the current pastor, Reverend James Farmer Jr., who is a native of Brownsville, Tennessee, as well as my mother, Mrs. Robbie King. And then we get to speak to the oldest deacon in our church, Mr. Billy Watkins. And they're just going to share some of those memories that they've carried in the treasure chest of their hearts about Sister Woodlawn. Yeah, I think it's time.
Yeah.
You think so?
I think so. Let's go.
Y'all come on.
We were founded in 1866. We always honor our beloved founder, Reverend Hardin Smith, who founded our church shortly after the Civil War, after the slaves were freed. They migrated to Haywood County from Lauderdale County, where they were originally part of Woodlawn Baptist Church, which is right down the road on 19 West, going towards Ripley. Migrated, and he founded Woodlawn Colored Baptist Church, and later it became Woodlawn Missionary Baptist Church. He founded it in 1866 and pastored here for 56 years, and he has the longest tenure as a pastor here in the history of our church. You know, his story is just a phenomenal story. Born a slave in Hanover County, Virginia, was sold to a slave master in Memphis, Tennessee, and then was sold to a white Baptist minister in Lauderdale County, and was taught to read and write by the wife of the slave master, and was a very educated man for a slave. He went on to be one of the founders of Owen College, which is now Lemoyne Owen College in Memphis, and was also one of the founders of the National Baptist Convention. So he was very educated in his day and time.
And you know, what means the most to me, I guess, one of the things that means the most is we come and gather here every fourth Sunday in May, and we have always occurred that we would gather here to honor the legacy of Reverend Hardin Smith and those giants whose shoulders we stand up on now, who kept the fire burning here at Woodlawn.
That's right. And the fourth Sunday in November is what we label as Fall Rally or Harvest Day, as many of the parishioners in that day and time were sharecroppers. And so they would bring, of course, an offering to the church after the crops were brought in and sold to sustain the church through the winter months. And so we still, to this day, observe the fourth Sunday in November, which is Harvest Day and Fall Rally. We still keep that tradition going even today.
Thinking about it with all of the preachers down through the years, we did do some things, and it's in our history, that we were trying to uplift. Each one did their part. But I tell you that James T. Farmer Jr. has put the icing on the cake as far as I'm concerned. He has taught us so many things. He has preached to us from the Bible. He gave us the word, just like it was a mental picture with Reverend V.J. Colwell, who did the same thing. And then when he came, we were in debt. And within a year's time, we cleared that mortgage out. Within 3 years, we have this building that we're in now. That's the Family Life Center that some thought we couldn't do, but with God's help and with His branch, we're in it.
This was the answer to many long-awaited prayers, many sleepless nights, and blood, sweat, and tears that the church had been wanting to do some type of expansion project for some time, and just couldn't bring all of the pieces of the puzzle together. And so, upon arriving here in July of 2012, we put our heads together and came up with a plan, and we planned to work and worked the plan. And in 2017 broke ground. In 2018 we were able to march into our Family Life Center. So it's just been a tremendous blessing to us.
Well, the bell tower is named in memory of Mrs. Gladys Evans Jones. She was the minister of music here alongside with my mother, and she had a vision, but she wanted to have a display that would house our bell that was used. Pastor Farmer mentioned Harvest Day and Fall Rally. That bell could be heard prior to worship services, prior to funerals, and it was just the sound that Woodlawn is alive and well.
Gladys was the sister of the late Reverend Clay Evans.
Yes.
And of course, I grew up right around the corner from Mrs. Evans. To this day, we still relish the memory of the bell tower.
Tell us a little bit about Clay Evans.
Reverend Evans was just in the preacher circuit, in our fraternity of preachers. He was known as the Godfather. He was just known all over the country. He was known for being a civil rights activist. He founded Fellowship, and built it from the ground up. And he's just been, his memory, of course, lives on through many of us because he is a product of Woodlawn. Right. He's one of our sons of the house, as we say. We're just proud of the connection with Reverend Evans.
Woodlawn has a lot of musical heritage, strong musical heritage, and we have been designated. You want to talk about our musical pathways, maybe designation?
Oh yeah, well, because we can't talk about that without talking about all the people that attended this church.
That's right.
Tina Turner.
That's right. Bootsy Whitelaw.
I think Sleepy John Estes for a while. Clay Evans, of course, had a musical career.
Yeah.
So the state of Tennessee has designated Woodlawn Missionary Baptist Church as an official location on the Tennessee Music Pathways.
As we invest in our youth and try to instill scholarship in them with tutoring opportunities and all of the tools that they need here to make them successful. We were in the process of purchasing laptops and things of that nature, just to kind of make our own little training center hub here with, we're blessed with the educators here in our church. We've got a lot of educators, even retired educators. And so we want to kind of make this a hub where we can cater and continue the thrust that our church was founded on, was education, discipleship, and things of that nature. And so even as we look forward into the future, those are some of the primary building blocks that we want to make sure we build on, is education, scholarship, training, and things of that nature.
It's very dear to me, very dear. I've been here all my life, but it's a church that stands for something. We've always wanted our standards to be on a higher level, and our pastors taught us that way. And we have reached out to grasp people from every direction. And listen, we are known from the four corners of the world. Woodlawn Missionary Baptist Church, yes, since 1866.
I don't have words to describe what this community, this church means to me, because I've been a member for 63 years.
Wow.
And that's a long time.
That sure
and,
is.
and I didn't move from one place to another,
Right.
you know. But anyway, I'm so grateful to be a member of Woodlawn. It's some loving members, loving people in the community,
Right.
and we share with one another. Woodlawn is kind of like my individual family. we share with one another, we talk to one another. So that's the way it is at this church.
Right.
We share with one another,
Yeah.
and we help one another.
That's right.
We look out for one another.
right.
So this is what Woodlawn means to me.
Well, Sonia, as Joshua would say, it was designated as a Shechem, just a place of refuge for so many people. And to know of the history of Woodlawn as we embark upon 155 years, this was a vision, even 155 years ago. And the vision lives on.
We're at the site of the first gathering of Woodlawn.
That's right.
And this is new.
It is. And let me just say this. Two of our church mothers took this project on. One was my mother, Robbie Brack Jarrett King, and then the late Etta Barkin Seymour. She's no longer with us, but she was instrumental in the erecting of this. And so I'm really glad to see the fruit of their labor here on the grounds of this place we call home.
That you celebrate this coming Sunday.
That's right. All roads lead to Highway 19 West here to Woodlawn as we celebrate at the 9:20 hour with a parking lot worship service. And then we're going to have an old-fashioned picnic on the grounds. So we're encouraging people to pack their trunks as we used to do in days before, the olden days. The families would gather right here near where we are, and they would pack their horses and their buggies, and then later on their cars with lunches. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go back to where we first have started with Woodlawn and the tradition of what's known as homecoming, fourth Sunday in May.
Woodlawn has always been a staple of this community.
That's
There's
right.
always been great things happening here, and the future looks bright for Woodlawn.
That's right, and we'll just continue to be that beacon of light. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right, until later.
Till later.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.